Okay, it looks like we are live. How is everyone today? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason Levine, and for today's live stream, we're going to be talking about a topic which I get asked about all the time. And as I've recently started doing these masterclasses on Behance around basic workflows in Premiere and Audition, I wanted to revisit it here today on the Creative Cloud channel and on all of our other social networks, which is how to cut to the beat of music. And this is something which, again, it doesn't matter what kind of editor you are. This is something which a lot of people do. And even if it's not going to be the final edit that you wind up using in the end, it's a great way to kind of get started and get inspired if you're going to be using any kind of musical accompaniment underneath your edits, underneath your video. So we're going to take a look at that. It's real simple, it's real easy, and it leverages a function in Premiere called Automate to Sequence, which if you didn't know about it and you hadn't really heard someone talk about it, you probably wouldn't know exactly what to use to create this kind of thing automatically. So as always, we've got our live chat in all the various places here. So hey Desiree, hey Paulina, nice to see you coming to us live. Hassan Jama, great to see you as well. Paul Weaver, good evening. All right, lots of great international attendees as always. So let's go ahead and get started here. What's up, Candigam? All right, and let me switch over to my screen and we will get rocking here. All right. So the content today that I'll be featuring is some footage that I shot, a whole series of graded clips that I shot in Africa quite some time ago, some of which you've seen on the stream before. And the musical accompaniment today is an unreleased outtake from my last collab record with my good friend and oft collaborator, Fred Fet Fung. And it's an instrumental kind of strange ambient track. I might tweak it a little bit before we kind of do the final here, but this will give you an idea of what it sounds like. It's really just a rhythmic ambient kind of tune. In any case, what's up, Carafreeze? As I mentioned, this is really simple. This is something I do all the time, and this is something which if you're new to editing, it's kind of, again, just a good way to get started and get you into that vibe of creating something. And when you've got edits that are timed against a musical beat, it just kind of looks pro very, very quickly. And we're used to seeing this anyway. Shoot, your phones can do this in most cases with many of the apps out there. And iTunes, of course, even does this with, or rather iPhoto and Photos does this with images on your phone automatically. So here's how it works. So the first thing you're going to do is you need to choose your music. So in this case, I've imported this file here. Let you hear a little bit of what this sounds like. And it's got a real obvious steady beat, something that we can drop markers against. So take a quick listen to this here. All right, so real simple, real even. There's maybe a little bit of melody here and there in this track, but I basically want to cut on like the 1 and the 3, or maybe every I'll give it 4 beats, so every bar will change the clip. That's entirely up to you. Now, the one element of this process is you do have to have a fairly decent sense of rhythm. So if you don't, well, I can't guarantee that it's going to be right on the beat for you. That part's on you. You got to be able to feel the beat to do what I'm going to show you. Outside of that, it doesn't actually matter whether you can feel the beat or not. If you can feel the sense of where you want those cuts, those transitions to happen, it's as simple as dropping markers. And that's the fundamental way that this works. To use Automate to Sequence, you must drop in markers. So we're going to do that. So I have a blank sequence here just with the audio clip in it. Because all this content was shot at 23976 and it's DSLR coming from a Nikon D800 and D4 at 1080p, rather than start a sequence with a clip, I actually used the classic new item icon down here and went into the sequence menu. All right. And from there, I chose the appropriate DSLR preset, which in this case is the DSLR 1080p 24, just to have a blank sequence in there. And then from there, I just dragged the audio file down into the timeline. All right, so that's kind of the beginning of this. Now, the first thing, of course, that you'll want to do is drop in those markers. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we're going to select the sequence down here. All right, and we'll know that the sequence is selected because we'll see the little blue borders around it. Sorry, I'm going to move over so you can see them there. Okay, now here's the key. This is the key to making this work. two things. First of all, you want to make sure that your audio clip is not selected. If it is selected, it'll drop the markers in the audio clip, and that's actually not what you want. You want to drop them in the timeline because, again, this gives you the flexibility of moving them around and reorganizing things more easily later on. You want to put them in the timeline, not on the clip. That's first. So make sure that it's not selected like this. You can just click away in an empty track to deselect. The other thing is, before you even begin, is you want to drop a marker, and you can do that by clicking on the marker button here, or on the US keyboard, it's shortcut key M. You want to place a marker right at the start, assuming you're going to have video starting, unless it's maybe going to fade up from black. The reason being that if you don't put a marker there, that's not where it'll drop the first clip, okay? I want video to start right away. Maybe I'll fade the whole thing up. I can always add a cross dissolve or a fade up after. But so again, with the cursor all the way over at the left at the starting point, I'm simply going to drop in a marker, and you'll see it does just that. It places a marker right at the start. Now from here, I'm going to use just shortcut key M, and I'm going to play this back, again, making sure that the clip is not selected, and I'm going to listen and drop in my markers where I want them to be. So let's go ahead and do that, all right? Ant is asking, do you find it normal for people to put the markers in the audio line instead of the timeline? Bug fix. There's different reasons for doing that. Now, Ant, if you're doing, say, sync, and here, so just divert for a second, because that's a great question. Why would you want markers in the timeline versus in the clip itself? So generally, the reason that I use markers in a clip is usually for synchronization. In the case of, say, I have a documentary or an interview, right? And the camera has captured the interview audio, but I also have a secondary source, usually my iPhone or something else, capturing cleaner, better sounding audio. For that, I might, if I don't use our auto sync function, which is good, but sometimes you just don't need it, I'll drop markers in the clip, and this makes it easy to snap things together. And again, it's just as flexible as the timeline, but this way, like the start point, the clapper board on that clip, I can place a marker right there on clip, irrespective of what's happening in the timeline. And that way I can always slide and slip things together in sync. There's many other reasons to do that too. For multicams as well, there's a lot of times where you want to put markers in the clip itself. A lot of times you're putting markers in the clips, but you're using that to define or give some metadata about what's in that clip. And you can add all kinds of descriptions and things, if I double click on the marker here, including changing the marker color, determining the type of marker it is, again, comments and such. All of that info can be embedded in the clip. So if you're doing something like selects, that's where you have clips, markers in the clip, right? And those markers could be of a specific duration, like subclip markers, something you'd see from Prelude. Those all get applied at the clip level. But for this process, we're going to do it at the timeline level. Okay, so let's go ahead. Sorry, I have some hair in my mouth. It happens a lot. Let's go ahead and play this back, and I'm going to drop in some markers. And it's about 1:14, so I'll do about half, and then I'll just kind of arbitrarily add the rest. Here we go. Let this one go a little longer. Hopefully this clip is long enough. Got a couple of fast cuts right there. All right, we'll stop it right there. I think that's probably enough. You can see this one here, I kind of let it go a little bit longer. And then I've got a couple of short, kind of quick transition ones here. Again, I'm assuming that I've got enough markers for the amount of footage I have. If not, we can always add more after the fact. I think this'll get us where we need to go. All right, so let's go ahead and wind this back. All right, so now the next step, of course, is organizing your footage. And this is a great opportunity to talk about the different views inside the project panel for organizing content. Now, you have, of course, the list view, and if everything is already kind of named or alphabetized or numerically renamed in the order that you want those shots to appear, you can use the list view here and simply, select your first clip or whatever it is to your last clip and then perform this function. However, most of us aren't going to have our content like that. These are all, again, organized by different animals. So what I wanted to kind of create this sense of the sunrise into the day as we went through, did our safari, into, sunset, into nightfall, etc. So naming isn't going to work for me. Now we've also got the icon view. This is fine. Again, this allows you some level of organization. It's completely linear, but you can, of course, move clips in and around. So I was talking about, the sunrise. So here's the sunrise clip. I want this to be all the way at the top. I want it to start with that. So I could drag that up to the top, and that becomes the first clip in this sequence of clips. But this is linear. It's always going to snap to this grid. If you've got a lot of content and you want to be able to move things around and really kind of tweak your story, that's what the Freeform View is all about. And that's this icon that you see right here. Sorry, I'm just moving the screen so you can see the tooltip a little bit better, all right? Freeform View, and it looks like you've got those stacked videos right there. So when you click on Freeform, and let's go into the look here. Oh, and sorry, here I'm getting ahead of myself. Here's how all of that content came in. Here's the default look. What this is this is effectively a video artboard. Okay, this is an artboard, and it allows you to click and drag and move your content all around the screen freely, however you like. So you can see I grabbed a bunch of those clips that were off screen. Let's bring them back up to the top. Let's bring some of these over here like this. Drag these other ones over here like this, okay? And now I can begin assembling my story visually. And this is just such a cool way to kind of organize your footage because, again, you can lay it out however you want. So, perhaps we'll start with something like the sunrise here, okay? And by the way, you can see as I hover over these clips, it uses hover scrub. You can also click inside the clips and grab the playhead and scrub through it here. If you want to set in and out points, you can hit I and O on your keyboard. You can also shuttle with JKL keys on your keyboard, all right, in something like this. Here we got some rhinos. All right, I'm zoomed in with super close, which is why it's all pixelated for you, okay? All right, and you'll notice that it also respects fractional playback there. Now, the other thing that you can do here, let's say these are all kind of small. I want to make everything bigger. I'm going to select all of my clips. I'm going to control-click, right-click on one of them, and you'll see at the bottom of the menu here, you have a clip sizer option. So let's go ahead and make these large. Tell them large Marge sent you. And now I've got all of my clips bigger, all right? So we want to start with the sunrise over here. There we go, a little bit of sunrise. And then maybe we'll segue to something like this shot here. This was first light where we were taking the Jeep into the bush, all right? So maybe it goes into something like that. And then from there, well, the first animals that we saw. Okay, here's a hippo. And then we'll go to, and again, trying to keep time of day. And this is where Freeform is so cool. I talked about this at Adobe Max. Because I can see everything front and center, I can organize however I want. So for instance, all of these shots here, just looking at the light, all right? These lions, this rainwater, these are warthogs down here. These all have a similar temperature, right? So in terms of time of day, these were all pretty similar. Just guessing, all right? Again, looking at the sky here, we've got some giraffe content right here. These shots look about the same. Now, this is a transitional one. This was kind of after sunset right here. And then we've got a bunch of night shots over here. So maybe I'll take these night shots and start organizing these. Maybe I organize them by animal. Whatever it is, this is why Freeform is so great. And you can begin to assemble that story. Now, what you saw before is I've already done it. And you can save different layouts of the Freeform view, which is awesome when you're trying to, again, piece together the narrative that you're trying to tell. So if I right-click here, instead of saving a new layout, all right, I don't want to save this one. I want to restore the one that actually has the order that I like. I called it ordered, very, very specific wording there. Click on ordered, and now what you see is that it created my view, how I want this timeline to look and begin and play out, okay? And again, I can scroll all the way over to the right. Content is off screen because, again, this is a continuous video artboard housing all of your media, right? Organized however you like. Now, just to point out again, if you want to use some of the preset characteristics, organization characteristics of Freeform, you'll notice again, if you right click in any gray space on screen where there's no clips, you have the align to grid function, and then you have reset to grid. And based on metadata, you can automatically align to, different metadata attributes, like, if you marked things as good, media type, just media names. Again, if you had everything kind of organized already. By scene, if you had that metadata in there. Video endpoint, etc. Oh, excuse me. Long day? Not really. Well, I guess I've been up since 4:30. Okay. In any case, you get the idea. So now that we have this laid out, we've got our markers in the timeline. You ready? This is it. We're done. We're just going to implement the automate to sequence function. So to ensure that this applies all of these clips in this way, I'm going to select my first clip here, scroll over to the last one, and let's select that one there, okay? So now I've got all these clips in the sequence selected. I'm going to come down to the bottom right to this button here, which is called Automate to Sequence. All right? Go into Automate to Sequence. Okay. And here you've just got a couple of parameters that you'll want to set. All right? First, ordering, selection order or sort order. Let's do selection order. Placement to cut to the beat. Now, the default, I believe, is sequentially. You want these at unnumbered markers, because if you choose sequentially, that doesn't need markers at all. So it's just going to take all those clips and it's going to place them sequentially in order, however you had them selected in your timeline. That's awesome. You could have also just done that by dragging them in. So we want at unnumbered markers, okay? The method in this case, I believe the default is overwrite. There's nothing in the timeline there, so it'll take care of it all. We don't have any stills, so we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to use any transitions here, and we're going to ignore the audio that's in those clips. You'll see that you also have options here to apply default transitions and whatnot, okay? But this is it. We are all set. That's all you need to do. Selection order at unnumbered markers, and in this case, we're choosing overwrite, click OK. And just like that, it will build the sequence. So now if I get out of Freeform and I come down to my timeline here, and look at that, it looks like I had exactly enough edits. Wow, I didn't even plan on that. Look, right to the last clip. Sometimes I amaze myself. Just dumb luck, but it all worked out. Common question 2. Does it automatically, if a clip is too long, shorten it? Yes, it'll automatically truncate it to fit the duration between those markers. That's why the option of at unnumbered marker is essential. And you can see right away, it starts at our sunrise, okay? So let's go ahead and play this back. All right. And that last shot of the leopard kind of walking towards us in the darkness. I was with Terry White and Paul Tranny on this safari. Oh, thank you, Des. And it was insane. And this leopard walked right up next to us. And you can see we're shooting it in total darkness, just with a single point light from another Jeep that was in front of us. And really quite dramatic. But in any case, that's it. We're done. It's that simple. That's how you do it, right? And again, if we wanted to, like there were a couple clips here where I probably swapped the order. For instance, I wanted this clip to be a little bit, to be the long one, not this one, I might just come in here, you know, manually. Because again, this is all fully editable, right? Lift this one over here. Let's shrink this, snap these together. It'll snap to the edge of our marker. Drag this one down here like this. And the reason I wanted that is because this one is doing a push. So it just kind of worked musically. Take a look. All right, kind of a cool, I mean, whatever, it's not brilliant, but you get the idea. All right, so fully flexible, super easy. If we want to reorder those markers, maybe we want to give more clips more time. Again, maybe if we go back to the beginning here, you know, I don't even like this elephant clip, so maybe we'll take that out and we'll give it a little bit more sunrise. And then from the sunrise, it goes right to the driving shot and then the lion, because that was the first thing we saw. All right. All right. You got a little nice shallow depth of field there with our branches in the foreground and all this beautiful color. This was winter time, by the way, so everything was really dead in terms of plant and you know, foliage around us. But there's still so much vibrance and so much color all over. It was just, it's really, really something else if you've never done it. Okay, now, again, for some simple tweaks at this point, we may want to say fade up from black, or maybe fade in the audio or something. So, of course, we can do that real easily. I'll come up to effects here. I'll go to my video transitions, and maybe I'll do something like a film dissolve. All right, drag it over top of that first clip here, right, and just kind of slowly fade up that sunrise. Yeah, maybe even a little bit more dramatic. Okay. I mean, nothing fancy there. And similarly, if I wanted to do something interesting with the audio, this is a case where maybe maybe I do something like a pre-fader send, where there's a lot of reverb on the effect. So I start with just reverb, and then you know, you hear kind of the full program material of the clip. So we could do something like that via a submix. So here, so I can create a stereo submix. And by the way, I should label these tracks. Call this music. All right. And I'm going to create a stereo submix. All right. And it places that submix over here. Okay. And on that submix, I'm going to add our studio reverb. Okay. I'm going to right click on this submix. I'm going to choose pre-fader, because what this is going to allow me to do is have independent control of the reverberated wet signal of the music and the original dry signal of the music. So I'm going to choose pre-fader here. Let's go ahead and set the level of this. We'll just put it at the détente here at 0, okay? And on our submix, let's go into studio reverb. We want this 100% wet, like that. And we want a lot of decay, kind of cavernous, reflective, wide. I'll cut some of the highs because there's a lot of bright symbol in there. A little bit of damping, and a little bit of diffusion. All right, so if I just play this now, so you see I've dropped the first fader, but I'm still hearing just the echo, just the ambience of the audio in this room. So maybe what I want to do is I want to automate so that it starts out kind of creepy like that, sort of distant. So maybe it's even slightly quieter. Something like that. And then we'll bring, maybe as it transitions, we'll bring the full program audio in. So we're going to do that using automation. So to do this, I'm going to take this clip here. I'm going to put this into write mode. Sorry, this track here, and put this into write mode. Let's go ahead and wind this back to the beginning. And when I hit play, now it's going to capture my movements of that fader as I play back. So take a quick look here. Watch this. Okay. So now when I play this back, it should have it should have just captured my automation. Why did that not work? Hold on. Now I'm looking to see why it didn't work. Why is it not working? It should be capturing my automation, darn it. Yeah, I don't have any. Why? I don't need that. Why is this not automating? Huh. I don't know why that's not automating. Okay. Well, I'm not going to troubleshoot that for now. Just showing you a technique of what I did there was you've got the wet signal on one channel, the dry signal on the other, and again, this theoretically should allow me to automate these and capture that. I don't know why it's not doing it. Let me just try on this track here real quickly too. All right, so you heard me kind of bring that in there. Now that's working. Interesting. It's not working on the submix. Weird. Did I just find a bug? I think I just found a bug. Okay, so you see it's working on the regular track fader. So, okay, well, what can you do? All right, so that is automate to sequence. Let's go ahead and bounce over to the chat and see if we have any questions. And if we don't, I will send you on your way. What's up, Marcio from Portugal? Thank you for joining. All right. What's up, Stephen from New Zealand? Libby from Nigeria. Kay from Flying Dutch from Germany. Vijay Rato Northern Bertoldi from Brazil. Devraj from Nepal. Said from Turkey. Kay, 100% great. Oh, thank you very much. All right. Niels, personally, I always start with organizing my media in folders in the project, name project, then subfolders, capture sequences, music. This way I can work faster as I have an overview of my content. Love that. Yeah. And again, everybody organizes a little bit differently. I will be honest, prior to Freeform, that is exactly what I did all the time. And I still pretty much do that. For something like this, again, if it's like a quick little social video and I just want to space out and time out the cuts, especially if they were shot in sequence or there's some obvious time of day reference that I can use, Freeform just makes it kind of quick. But I totally get what you're saying. And like I said, I use that most of the time. All right. Okay. Siri Simpson. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. All right, editing on classic music I like because of the story and this kind of music. Yes, classical music where there's no beat can be a challenge. But that's where, again, you have to kind of feel where you want those transitions. All right, Umar from Mauritania, nice to see you. All right, Paul Goodman, what's up? All right, coming over to us on YouTube. Robert, Brooklyn in the house. Trinity Project, what's up? John Crenert from Cologne. Melissa Arnold, how are you? Step one, have rhythm, exactly. B. Dennis, Kenya, how's it going? All right. Umar, you over here as well, nice. Okay. Lieben in 360. This is magic, especially what I'm looking for. I'm editing my first music video right now. Oh, awesome, right, exactly. And like I said in the description, it's a starting point. That may not be exactly the edit that you use, but just to kind of get things timed and understand where those cuts are. The other thing is, and Ant mentioned this in his question before, with a track like this in particular, and if I just click back to Premiere to show you, what's easy about a track like this, if I zoom in, this is pre-mastered, by the way. So the beat, all right, and you can see I started cutting on 2 and 4 instead of 1. It's really defined here. I mean, you see where I'm moving my cursor. These are all of the kick drum downbeats. So, visually, I could lay those markers in there without even having to listen. And, all kidding aside, even though, rhythm is required, there's lots of different ways to drop in and sort of time those markers. So whatever you're most comfortable with, I say go with that. Peter Whiter, you slept through the first part. Not a problem. All right. EDMC La Poet. If the in and out points are short, but the set marker is longer, what happens then? Excellent question. Then it only inserts for the duration of your in and out, which means that when your out point ends, it'll go to black. So at that point, you either drop in another clip or extend it or overlay it, or, you add another marker. But that's it, right? It'll respect your in and out. So if you have your markers in a 3-second duration, but your in and out is 2 seconds, you will have a second of black after that piece of footage. All right. Umar, oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Keeping it together with Pantene Pro V. All right. And let's see if we've got any more questions on Gokhan Unlu, on Periscope, Mind TV. All right. Annette R. Murray. 8EN Austin. Nice to see you. All right. All right. That looks like all the questions we have. Perfect. Easy. Nice. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for watching. Of course, you'll be able to catch the replays here, everywhere. So on the Creative Cloud Facebook, on YouTube, Jason Levine Video, on Twitter Periscope, and on my Behance as well. Tomorrow, we've got my every Thursday now, my collab stream with my good friend Carl Soule, and we're going to be talking about transitioning from Avid Media Composer to Premiere. And as he's someone who himself did this and knows Avid in and out and works in Hollywood, he's going to show you all the kind of hidden little tips and tricks to be aware of so that you can kind of replicate the Avid source record editing workflow into a Premiere Pro workflow. So you'll want to be sure to catch that. It will be tomorrow, actually timed tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time on the Premiere Pro Facebook, and then of course on all the other properties. So until then, have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you again next time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.